came across a video that said, without a doubt, you should stay in Myeongdong if you're coming to Seoul, South Korea. And I was like, I mean, okay, sure. I get it. I get why he said it. It's centrally located. But then I realized that the video had tens of thousands of likes. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. If I came to Seoul, South Korea and I stayed in Myeongdong, I would have been so disappointed because it doesn't match my kind of travel style. So in this video, I'm gonna help you find out what kind of a traveler are you. Plus, I have categories for each city and I give them point values as far as how expensive, how safe, how accessible, how easy is it to live there if you don't speak any Korean. So let's dive right into it. I first have to say an overall tip. I know a lot of people are used to staying in hotels. I'm gonna tell you right now, bang for your buck. If you want to get your money's worth, you can stay in a much nicer Airbnb than you can a hotel for a much cheaper price. So the first category is blend. 1, you stick out like a sore thumb and you are the only foreigner within maybe a few blocks. And then 5 is you blend in really, really well. There's other foreigners around you. You feel a little bit more comfortable because you're not sticking out like a sore thumb. The second category is ease. 1 being it's really difficult to get around here. You really, really need to speak Korean to some level of some kind. 5, almost everybody can speak English. There's often menus that are also in English. It's quite easy to live here as somebody that doesn't speak Korean. Next category is nightlife. 1 is like a, no, there's nothing to do here. 5, parties, yes. Going out, yes. I really don't know how to describe other than good nightlife. Location, 1, this is a place that it's gonna take a really long time for you to get anywhere else other than the area that you are. 5, it's a great location, you're central, and you can get to everywhere else that you would ever possibly want to go. Shopping, 1, there's no shopping. 5, there's lots of shopping. But there's a subcategory after this one of average cost. So how much are you really spending daily? That one is based on dollar signs. And then finally, safety. There is a stigma where Korea is just like this super safe place. And yes, people can't walk around with guns here. But there are other ways in which Korea is not safe. And sometimes walking the streets at night, as a foreigner woman, I feel actually uncomfortable and scared more so in places than I do in other places. 1, I did not feel safe there at all. 5, I felt really, really safe and I felt really comfortable to maybe like walk at night by myself. So those are the categories. Now let's get into the cities. So we're gonna start off with Hongdae. And Hongdae, I call it the young fun. The overall crowd there is often college-y, so it definitely has like a younger vibe to it. But because so many people there are young, it is a lot cheaper to stay in Hongdae than it is in other cities that I'm going to list after this. Hongdae is very, very friendly to foreigners. The crowd is definitely younger, so I'm saying like college age / right out of college. As a whole, it can be a little bit rowdier because you're dealing with, you know, younger people. But if you are a younger person yourself, it's great. It is heavily westernized, but there are Korean things to it. There's Korean restaurants. Everything is very cutesy, but it is definitely a westernized area. So if you're looking for a more authentic Korean experience, maybe not exactly fitting that category. Definitely westernized. Blend, 5. You'll fit in so well. So many foreigners everywhere else. Ease of living there, 4.5. It's very easy to live there. A lot of menus are in English. A lot of the staff speak English. Nightlife is a 5. There's a lot of really good places to just go have a drink, go dance. Personally, based on the people who are there, even though they might be younger, I feel like I can kind of fit in well. They are excited that foreigners are there, but they don't see them as like foreigners like they do in some of the other cities that have nightlife, or maybe some of the other cities that we'll talk about that don't allow foreigners to come into most of the places. So Hongdae is a very nightlife friendly area, and you can just have a really good time in Hongdae. Shopping, I'm gonna give it a 4 just because there aren't any underground stores like there are in some other cities, and the underground shopping is so much fun and such a good experience. But I gave it a 4 because there's something called Fashion Street, and it's full of literally every possible cute Korean thing that you could possibly ever want, and every piece of jewelry. There's so much great cute clothing stores. So shopping is really good in Hongdae as well. Average cost, we're gonna give it $1. It is very cheap because it is a college town. And then safety wise, I gave it a 3.5. I did have an experience where someone followed me when I was in Hongdae. Still very safe in my opinion, but I did have that experience. Moving on to the next city.
Wait, you forgot the location score. And this is really important because sadly Hongdae is lacking in its location, and I can only give it a 2 because it's so far west. It is far away from honestly everything.
Next Next, we're gonna go to Gangnam, and we will give Gangnam the name of financially free, because if you are not financially in a very free situation, I wouldn't really recommend that you live or stay in Gangnam personally. So it is a very trendy place. You will never, ever in your entire life go to Gangnam and feel overdressed. That does not exist. It is a very business-oriented city, so as a result, a lot of celebrities live down there, a lot of dramas are filmed in Gangnam, and it is the skincare and like surgery capital of the world. So if you wanted to do anything to your face, which you're stunning, you're beautiful, you don't need it, but if you wanted to, that is where you're going to be going anyways. That's honestly where I recommend you do go, because that's where the most competition is. So that's where I've just heard you would get the best results. People be walking around with bandages on their face because they all getting all adjusted. So it is by far the least foreigner friendly out of all of the cities that I am listing off in this video. Okay, so let's get into the scores. Blend, we have a 1. You will stick out. People will look at you. Ease, 2. 2.5, it's just not an area that is expecting to be foreigner friendly. Foreigners will come and go, but it's not really thinking, yes, this is where the foreigners are gonna stay. Because it doesn't have that same mentality that Hongdae does, it is not as friendly. Nightlife, I'm giving it a 3. The highest like ratio of where you won't be allowed in is in Gangnam. If you're Korean or of Asian descent, you could probably have a much better time than I could, because I'm not allowed through the door. Shopping, I'm giving it a 5 because the next followed category, if you got that money, you can shop for days. It has all of the bougie stores. It has literally every store that you could possibly literally think of. It's in Gangnam, but you need that money, you know? But if you don't have that money, but you still want to get some good shopping on, it does have an amazing underground mall. Cheap clothes, even for it being in this really bougie area. Quality might also be a little bit on the cheap side, but still great shopping experience, especially if you got that tone, you got that money. And for safety, I gave it a 4. I'm never gonna give a 5 because I think that that would give you a false sense of security. Like Korea is just this like super safe place everywhere. It is safer, but again, I'm never gonna give a 5. So we're giving it a 4. I don't ever really feel paranoid. Everything is so bougie. The cars that pass me could buy a 2-story house in the States. Like all the security guards and all the cameras are looking out for anything to go wrong because it's such a expensive area. So I do feel quite safe here. All right.
I promise this is the last one I forgot, but I can only give Gangnam a 2 for location because it's honestly far away from everything. However, it is near the Lotte Tower, the really tall tower, and Lotte World. So there are some attractions near there, but overall, it's really far from everything else.
Next, we got Myeongdong. This is the truest of true tourists. You in advance have been like, famous sites to see in Seoul, South Korea. You have a list. There's little check boxes next to the list, and you are just you're ready to check them off. Before the pandemic hit, it was just hustling and bustling, and there were stores everywhere and underground stores, and it was just like the place to shop, and the price as a result was a little expensive because they knew all the tourists are coming to Myeongdong to shop. Well, then the pandemic hit and it died. I came here and I was living here during the pandemic, and I was walking the streets like, did a zombie apocalypse happen? Everyone said that this was the place, and it's very clearly not the place. Stores are starting to open up. I went literally just on Tuesday, and there were a lot of foreigners that were there. It's just not what it used to be. And so as a result, for these days, post-pandemic, today, these are the scores. Blend, I gave it a 4. There were a lot of foreigners when I went, so I did not feel like I was sticking out. And again, it's known as a place where tourists would come to shop. So if you are coming as a tourist to shop, you're just doing what was expected. Ease-wise, my friend said she's had such an easy time. I've never had a difficult time. I wouldn't say that I go to Myeongdong ever, and a lot of my friends say the same. So we're giving it a 4 because everybody that I know that has gone says it's fine. But I know that nightlife is not a thing there. I give it a 2. It's not a place that you go like, oh, hey, you guys want to meet up in Myeongdong? We're gonna have a good time. I didn't want to give it a 1 because I felt bad, but it's a 2. Should I just give it a 1? It's a 2. Location, 5, as I said. Centrally located, great location. Shopping, we're giving it a 3.5 because all of the people that I know that go there to shop, the same things are elsewhere. I'll let you know in the comments if it changes, but there are just, in my opinion, more options elsewhere. So Myeongdong itself is not what it used to be, which is why I'm giving it a 3.5 for the shopping. And we're giving it a $1.50 sign because it could very well start to increase as it does reopen. And safety-wise, I give it a 4. I never, ever have felt uncomfortable there, and my friends felt the same. So 2 places left. Next If you're my friend in real life, you know why I'm making this face. Okay, so Itaewon, we're calling it the foreign foodie. You wanna taste the cuisines from around the world, go to Itaewon. There are so many foreign food options. You name a country, they got a food type. It's probably in Itaewon, but I will say, because it does have this like label of authenticity, the price goes up because it's the real deal. And is it really the real deal? It's as close as it's gonna get in Korea. One thing I wanna mention, it is known as the place that foreigners go. As a result, I just feel like I'm seen as a snack. Like my presence, my body is seen as a snack in Itaewon. And I don't know if it's following the foreign food trend vibe that we've got going on over there, but I just feel uncomfortable when I go out there or when I'm walking there, and that's why I give it a safety. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go through the list. Blend 4.5. It's literally known as the place that the foreigners go. I just gave it a 4.5 because I would prefer to be in Hongdae over Itaewon. I feel like I blend in and feel safer in Hongdae than I do Itaewon, but you do blend in really well. Ease 5. All the menus often are in English. You can speak English to almost anybody in any of the restaurants. Nightlife. Maybe you will disagree with me. This is the city I've had the most problems in. I try to go out and have fun with friends for their birthday, and it always ends up with strange people magnetically gravitating their southern region towards my body, and it's just no. And the amount of times that people have like gone up to me and my friends and just automatically put their arm around me or like grabbed my hand, touched parts of my body, it's always for me happening in Itaewon. I'm giving nightlife, honestly, I would probably give it a 2.5, but it can be really fun if you find a wall and you just latch yourself onto the wall so nobody can creepily come up from behind. If you find a wall, we'll give it a 3.5, all right? It is very, very central. It's technically more central in a way than Myeongdong is, but it's off of the Brown line, and that basically means you have to take the Brown line to get to any other line, whereas Myeongdong, there are some lines that would take you directly to the place that you're going to. We're giving it a 4 because it is central, but it's not ideal. Shopping, 2. I don't know people who go to Itaewon to shop, so I would give it a 1, but there are stores, so we'll give it a 2. Average cost, 100% $2 signs. It takes a lot of effort to make that food in a foreign country, so the price of really, honestly, almost all restaurants in Itaewon is higher. And safety-wise, you've probably picked up on it as everything that I've said, but I give it a 2. It is the place that I feel the least comfortable. So the last place is not necessarily a singular place, but it's a really good thing to keep in mind that if you are looking to save a little bit of money, or you're looking for maybe a place that's a little bit quieter, away from the hustle and bustle, and you want maybe a little bit more of like an authentic experience, understanding that you will be looked at more often because it's not usually where foreigners are staying, but I'm just gonna call it the outskirts, and this is for the budgeter. So maybe the Airbnbs are looking really limited and you're only able to stay in certain areas, and you're like, oh my gosh, is this gonna be okay? I can't afford to stay anywhere closer. You're gonna be okay. Again, all of Seoul bleeds convenience. So at the end of the day, it's so convenient to get literally everywhere. And if me talking about the subway intimidates you at all, I have a whole transportation playlist all about how to take the bus, taxi. You need a T-Money card in order to take all of that. So if you have any transportation questions, I would check out this playlist. And then if you just want some more helpful tips, like how to save money, how to eat by yourself here in Korea, I'd recommend this playlist. Please leave any questions down in the comments and I will reply to them as soon as I can. I hope you found this video helpful, and now I'm gonna go see you over there in one of these videos.